wanted
And welcome to the Woman's Cave.
I was trying.
See, I
started early, and she still got it. I feel like my mouth is getting older. I feel like
just your mouth.
Yeah.
Just your mouth, like you as a person.
No. I'm still young and beautiful.
But my just your mouth. Just your mouth is aging.
Yeah, my lips are going into geriatric.
Just your mouth. Okay, I just
not my teeth because I need those.
but just
okay. The lips.
So anyway, yeah, I'm Jade, because I don't have anything else to say about that. Besides, my teeth are beautiful and my mouth is working just fine.
We're not doing this.
And then your name is
Winona. By the way, great job introducing us. I feel professional. We did it in like the first 15, 20 sentences, right?
Sure. We'll go with that because
high five for professional.
Yes,
social distance.
Okay, like I'm gonna go with you because it's Friday. It's near the evening, which means happy hour.
Oh, okay. Let's hurry up.
We're not gonna hurry up. Okay. Yeah, we have books, aka literary life guides. Wait. I flipped that. Literary life guides, aka our books. Literary life guides with pop poetry. Okay, here we go. And I thought divorce was bad, and I thought being grown up was easy. Both available as audiobooks and then like everywhere else online. And I thought I did my journey alone, and If Only I Were Me. And we have the 25 hottest indie authors out us in Advocate magazine. All right, so you can find out everything your ladies are doing, including our new like wonderful store page that looks amazing now because I've been working with it.
Clothing line.
Coming soon. And you can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. All right,
but y'all here to hear about us.
Going on and on about our lives.
I would happily do so, though. Please feel free.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't feed on us. You're here to hear from our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Nancy Matsumoto. I am right now in Toronto. I used to go back and forth between New York City and Toronto, but since the lockdown, pretty much Toronto. But I was born in Chicago, grew up in Southern California, and I'm now co-writing a book on the Japanese drink sake.
Wow. Okay, so you said born in Chicago, and I just love food in Chicago.
What is your food in Chicago, though?
Pardon?
Do you have a favorite food from Chicago?
She grew up in Southern California.
I was pretty young when I moved, but I would have to say the pizza.
Yes!
Yeah.
I love Chicago pizza. And yes, I'm going to get hate mail about that.
Really? How can you not like it?
Oh, no, I'm going to get hate mail about it because people are going to tell me that New York pizza is the best.
Yeah. Okay, but I have a question. Is Chicago and Detroit, are they different or are they similar?
I think that I have never had the Detroit pizza, but it looks a little like Chicago pizza, but just a little bit different. And literally, I had plans to go there this summer, which I had to cancel. Because,
I know, too bad. No, because there's one in Toronto that's in Detroit, but it sort of seems like Chicago. It's deep dish. It's really good. I didn't know the difference.
I think they put like an extra layer of sauce. I think,
and an extra layer of cheese, pepperoni.
I think that's what the difference was because one of my friends was like explaining it to me, and I said it just sounds like Chicago pizza.
And you recognize that she said explaining with ASL because it's her deaf friend that was
explaining it to me, and she was explaining it.
I'm so impressed.
So I was okay. She's like, it's so much better than Chicago, and it's still Chicago to me.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Okay, moving on. See, I told you we'll get distracted. What's back to you?
You have had a wonderful career. Wow, right? It's just, how have you achieved so much?
I don't know who you're talking about, but thank you.
Whatever, you've been a contributor to Wall Street Journal, the Time Magazine, New Yorker, the Atlantic.com. I mean, people, this is like, if you go on her website and yeah.
Okay, most of those are true. I guess it's really because it's the only thing I've done since I got out of school. Is I've always been a journalist, and it's a lot of years to write for different places. So yeah, it was just really kind of, hanging in there, and always. I think a lot of it is having good ideas, and you guys have great ideas. You've got all these books and screenplays, and don't you think it's kind of about having a great idea and then really wanting to do it and write about it or make it happen? I think that's a big part of it.
Am I thing. I think it's having a bad idea, but being so determined.
You know what? That works too. It's really the determination part that matters. It could be a horrible idea. Yeah.
Right? Because I convinced Winona to come back to writing poetry, which she said, "Oh, okay, you want me to be broke? I get it." So. But we're not. Hey, how about that?
So you've been a freelance journalist this whole
A long time. My staff writing days were pretty long time ago. And what happened is I had a health issue and I couldn't work full time anymore. So I had to quit my full-time job that was at People magazine. And I was in the hospital a lot, and I had happened to start a book with a woman that I met on one of my People. There was a cover story that I did on anorexia on college campuses. And I met this great doctor and nutritionist in New Hampshire at Dartmouth, and we said, oh, let's collaborate. So it kind of worked out well because I had to quit my job, but I could be, like lying in bed and writing this book. So that's how I kind of transitioned to freelance. And it's been the same that way ever since.
It is kind of amazing like that. You can be a little ill, but you can definitely be like, let me just keep typing this.
Yes, I mean, that's the great thing about it. You could be flat on your back and still, kind of working.
Exactly.
So
my follow-up question is a narcissism question for myself. How do I get into People magazine besides becoming famous? Because that'll never happen.
You could do something really bad. I think they still do crime stories.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I don't
probably don't want to go that route.
Yeah.
Being adorable.
We used to do, I don't know if they still do that. We used to do these little things called one-pagers, and you could invent a new stuffed animal or just do something kooky or, have a bunch of books and websites and write poetry. There's ways to get in there.
You didn't have to answer that question.
No, you didn't.
I'm sure Winona will be like, oh, I'm Googling this all night. Like, don't even worry. I'm going to do it.
I am going to be in there. Yeah.
It's on my vision board. Thank you. I'm one close step further.
Yeah.
But no, so was there any difference between writing for journalism? Like, 'cause I know journalism, you focus a lot on getting the story done than writing for a book, and it was like nonfiction. So he's probably getting the story done, but making it longer.
But you have like a lot more word count and
yeah, I really loved it because my problem was always making word count. And I would always send a story into editors and say, oh, I'm really sorry. It's 500 words long. I hope that's okay. And kind of like try to sneak in a few extra words. So for me, it was great. I loved having all that extra space. And even now I feel like, oh, how am I going to fill up this whole book? And it's like, oh, there's not enough space. So it usually is not a problem for me. So in that way, I think I'm more suited to longer things.
So I feel like whenever you want to guest ghostwrite our book, go for it.
I just throw words at you.
Oh,
I can make that work.
We need that. I think sometimes as authors, we need people to throw words at us so we can get like, oh, and writer's block is done. Thank you for those words.
Right, yeah. And I'll just say, can you think of a longer way to say that?
How do you cope with writer's block as a freelance journalist? Because you don't have time for it.
I don't know. That's a good question. Sometimes you really have bad days where you just think, today was horrible. I got nothing done. You feel like you're just sort of like swimming through mud. But then usually the next day you think, okay, it wasn't that horrible. I was just in a bad mood or I was tired. So I don't know. I guess you just kind of have to power through it and just think, okay, I'll feel better about it. I'll do better. Don't get too down on yourself.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for that information. Like, I like that.
Anytime.
Let's talk a little bit about your blog.
Oh, my current blog, the one about sake? Yeah. Well, I started it, I don't know, it's the posts are building up. First I was blogging every week, but with the book deadline, it's so, I'm really pushing it right now because I'm close to the deadline. So I decided, I can't spend too much time. And I always say to myself, I'm going to do like a little 400-word thing. It's going to be like quick in and out. And then it ends up like 1,000 words and I'm slaving over it. And So that whole thing didn't really work out well. So then I cut it to every other week. And it's kind of fun because when you're writing a book, you always have a lot of extra material. It's like, I can't fit this in. I'm just going to like throw it in the blog file. And then like 2 weeks before I'm supposed to write a new one, I look through my list and I decide what I want to write about. And then I start putting feelers out to the different people. And just like, I want to write about this, and can you send me pictures and talk to me a little bit? And it usually works out. It's a pain because I have to write to people in Japanese a lot of the time and then deal with a 13-hour time difference. So you kind of have to plan ahead. But I don't know, how do you guys do you plan yours way in advance, or what's your process?
We don't do blogs because
you do whole books. You don't mess around, right?
Yeah, we do books. And I was going to point out that was you had a really good point when you were saying that you can't add it into your book, but you put it in your blog file. So
yeah,
it's like you are repurposing them. And I think a lot of authors, we have a lot of stuff, like we write, and then we're like, well, we're not going to put this in our book or our short story or whatever. And you just gave us a very good point. Like, we could just repurpose and make it into a blog. And another way to get people to buy our books. Unfortunately, I'm never going to blog, probably, because I don't know if I have those many words in me.
Well, I mean, it's kind of thankless, although, everyone is doing newsletters now, and that's a way to monetize it. So, I mean, yeah, you guys are probably smarter than me, and you would get paid for it as opposed to me, just like doing it for nothing. But I do think that, maybe at some point, the initial idea was it would help sell the book. So there's kind of a marketing aspect to it.
Yeah, well, a lot of blogs are pieces of marketing. And absolutely, there was a person, Jennifer Mann, we had Jennifer Mann on, and she has all of the followers because of her blog. And because of her blog that went viral, she then got to write her book. And then
that's kind of the ideal, right? That's amazing. Yeah, I kind of did it backwards, but it's whatever.
But you have several books out. I mean, and your title is so, like, you write some very nice books.
They're kind of all over the map, but yeah, I mean, they're just projects that have come my way, and all of them have been fun and interesting and learning experiences. So yeah, it was good.
Do you ever do fictional? Because I see that they're all non.
I did one project, that was with a pretty well-known photographer who I had written about. And he approached me and he said, I'm doing a novel that's going to be an art novel. And he did these beautiful sort of like staged photographs. He used to be a Hollywood set designer. And so he had all these skills where he could build models and take gorgeous photos. And he was an amazing photographer. So he came up with this whole storyline, and it had to do with Japan and America and feminism and the environment and, like a lot of things I'm interested in. And so, I said, sure. And I ended up contributing a chapter and then editing the book for him. And it was very sad. I mean, it was a really interesting experience, but the sad part was that he was battling cancer. And he was determined to finish the book. So he finished the book, he passed away, and the book was kind of published. I mean, I guess it came out right before he passed away, but it was kind of like an amazing example of an artist who he worked till the end of his life. And his name was Patrick Nagatani, and very well-known Japanese-American photographer. So that's how that came about. It was fun. And now I'm working on a book, editing a book of my grandparents' poetry. So they were both poets, and they have an interesting story because they were put in prison camps during World War II. And so half of the book takes place in the prison camp, and then half of it is after when they moved to Chicago, which is how my family ended up in Chicago, and are kind of trying to overcome this experience. So this has been a labor of love that's been going on for maybe like 10 years. And I pulled in a bunch of different people, and we've had an amazing experience translating and editing, and it's going to be published by UCLA's Asian American Studies Press, and it's almost ready to go to press.
Oh wow!
So that was fun.
Busy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we've come to the point where I know you said that you wanted to ask us some questions.
Yes.
Questions, or go ahead.
Would you like to ask?
We really hate this.
Yes, because you guys are so inspiring. I mean, how many different lines do you have? First of all, you do so many different things.
Okay, so for our book series, so we have the And I Thought book series and the Misfit Guide series. And I don't know, If Only I Were Me, I think that's gonna be our only single pop poetry book.
And
but we've said that before, and it you know. No.
And how did the poetry thing come up? Is that Winona's thing? Are you
paid?
So
she just said that. Can I answer this one thing?
Okay, sorry.
okay?
Narcissism, it gets every once in a while. It's like my ego needs to shine.
Okay, go ahead and shine.
Anyway, no. So what happened was Jade actually likes my poetry, and I love genre. Poetry. But you learn it at a young age, because I got published at 10, so you learn at a young age that
Wow.
poetry does not get you money. Genre does. Yeah. So I've been writing genre for years, and I've had a nice fan base. So there you go. I always get a little change off of what I write.
Wow.
And it was like, what you should do is go back to writing poetry. And I told her, you want me to be poor for the rest of my life? I don't have a name for the book anyway. And she goes, no, what if you called it And I Thought Divorce Was Bad? So I wrote it for her because she wanted it done. I wrote
and she made me write
60 some poems in a week, and there we go. And then I came along. We
met people along the way, and we put their poetry in, and it just came together like that.
That's amazing. My son's girlfriend is a poet, and I really want her to hear this, because I think it'd be so interesting to just hear how it naturally. But I want to know about the genre stuff. What is that? What were you writing?
Bad genre.
I like it.
No, I write Widow's Debt series. Currently I'm working on a romance novel I've written, a sci-fi, terrible children's sci-fi.
Still working on that, refining it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you guys are best friends from childhood in Annapolis, or?
Yeah, we've been friends forever, and probably a day. And then, so we're really good friends. And I wanted to address the fact about the poetry. And I told her, please come back, because she writes such beautiful poetry. And so really, we say that we write pop poetry, right? Like popular poetry. So, because sometimes as people read poetry, some people read it to get lost and not understand it. We don't like that kind of poetry. We tell you what we mean.
So it's funny, because I was like, I like that type of poetry. I've always have. And when I went back to get my creative writing degree, and someone told me, yeah, you don't write real poetry. So and I was all depressed. I came home.
Wait. They said you don't write poetry?
Yeah, no, real poetry.
Real poetry. My first was like, you don't write real poetry.
This was in your program?
Yeah, you write pop poetry. Yeah.
And by that time she went back, so we've already had this. We're starting our career, and she was going back to college, and they said you don't write real poetry. And she was upset. You're like, oh my goodness, am I failing the literary community? And I turned and I looked at her and I said, well, we all can't be Billie Holidays or Aretha Franklin. Somebody has to be Ariana Grande. So let's say we write pop poetry. We're the Ariana Grande of poetry.
Okay. Yeah. So what does that mean, pop poetry? Like, I mean, I get Ariana Grande, so that's like the difference. But
we don't write the kind of poetry that you would sit down in a class and analyze and, be able to write like a 4-page thesis.
I think that this line meant this. And
this is the imagery. No, when we get to the end, just in case we didn't explain it well enough, we have a clarification sentence.
This is what we were talking about the whole time. The whole time.
Okay.
And then in our books, we call them literary life guides, because we normally have life lessons and quotes in there that we've made up, or the other ladies
or
have.
Every once in a while will be a little interesting, and you're probably tired of hearing us talk, right?
Mm-hmm. No, not at all.
He's probably
tired of hearing us talk.
No. I want to hear more. I have more questions.
So, like, there's this one little thing. So we have in our things that it takes you through. So one time we did one with a traveler. So it's an actual, instead of having chapters, they like section one, like, and then you have the poetry and everything. We go section one, a traveler starts a journey by leaving everything that he has, taken one step forward. And then you follow this traveler through 6 sections. And that's how all the poetry. So you have a story, and then you have the poetries and the stories and the flash fictions that match. And then my favorite one
that's so fun
is the cocktail recipe book.
Wait, the favorite thing that
poetry with cocktail recipes?
Yeah, we did an entire book where the
genius.
cocktail recipes take you through the poetry.
And the cocktails are related to the stories in the poetry?
It's called Cocktail Soirees in the LBD. So
it's a misfit guide. Cocktail Soirees in the LBD. But I wanted to go back to talk about the point about the end. I thought I did my journey alone. And then at the end, we have this poem that kind of like takes all the titles of all
the titles of the poems that you've read.
A lot of them and poetry.
And then it says, "This is my title deed."
And then we come this way to do this and do this, and then at the end it's
how fun. So do you guys do poetry slams or readings, public things like that?
We do readings. We do not do poetry slams, and a lot of times we are always talking about our other ventures like magazines and how we've gotten to be interviewed and so many times, or how we have expanded our brand to just be outside of poetry to do something else. Like we've taken our books, but also
kind
of move it along to different
things. We're on tour 26 to 35 weeks out of a year. So plans do not fit in our schedule.
Normally,
work barely fits in your schedule.
When you're home, you just want to.
So on your tours, you're doing readings, or you're doing?
We're normally getting interviewed on like television, radio, podcast, and
about our books.
Our books.
Sometimes we do read.
We do readings. Yeah, a few poets have asked us to come, to their town and do readings. And when people go, "Have you gone to an open mic recently?" I normally say, "I haven't been to England," because when we go to England, we literally do open mics and tours, and people book us to read poetry. That's
how fun!
And also we teach workshops. Kind of badly, but we do it, and we do it. I mean, well, we're entertaining. That's what everyone tells us.
Yeah,
we're entertaining, and you say a lot, and they're like, "I wish you would do 40-minute workshops," and we're like, "No, we love 20-minute workshops."
Yeah,
like let's get in, get this information, ask some questions, and let's go.
Right. So I want to ask about your community. You mentioned sort of like pulling in other community. Who is your community, and how did you build that community?
Actually, on tour, a lot of times we've met people. And it just kind of came together like that. And
so like groupies.
Not like groupies. And like you're going out to eat with people, like, so maybe you've done a book reading and people are like, "Oh yeah, come out to eat." And then you just meet people in restaurants, you meet people in bars, you're just meeting people.
And then they tell you stories. And those stories are very interesting. And then sometimes you'll be like, and they're like, "Oh, I write." And then you're like, "All right, send me some of the writing." And then you send them like a contract.
Yeah, you want to be a contributor to
this. Then, so you end up with the people that are really, really serious. They actually write in more than one book. So they the And I Thought Lady Collective. So no, we don't write the And I Thought series particularly by ourselves.
13 ladies.
There's 13 ladies that have written with us. And they're all in that one book, And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone. Yes.
Wow. That's so impressive.
And that title came from, because as we were going around, basically around the world, and you start talking to women, you're hearing the same story over and over and over and over again. And you're like, I've heard this story. I've experienced this story. And they're like, "I thought I was just the only one." See, we're not as alone as we think we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's powerful. You're bringing people together. What are the biggest concerns that you're hearing from people, or like the roadblocks or, challenges?
So our original brand is built off of, I shouldn't say brand. Our first book is And I Thought Divorce Was Bad, and it talks, one of the heavier themes that go through it is getting yourself back together after an emotionally abusive relationship. And our first 2 poems, the first one is about living through one and trying to figure out why society can't figure out you need time. Because, an abusive relationship. No, he didn't hit me, but, you're in an abusive relationship. And the second one is about a child who grew up in an emotionally abusive or surrounding family. And what she sees when she looks back on it. And so then we proceeded to be like, there's not enough people talking about emotional abuse. We know physical abuse.
Right.
We kind of sort of know about financial abuse. That no one's talking about financial or emotional. So we went out and started talking about those two things. So most of our community are survivors, and we work
Wow.
partner with charities in that respect, and we throw events for them a couple of times, well, twice, 2 times a year.
2 times.
Yeah, to give them money, and now
That's
we have us.
amazing.
So yeah, that's our community.
That's really amazing. That's powerful. Thank
Okay.
you. I didn't know any of this, so I feel way more enlightened now. Thanks.
Oh, right. So see, I guess we're ending that point of
I have never.
the ladies interview section. Everybody like wants to do this now. If we had another guest that came on and was like, I've written down questions for
He
you.
was a BAFTA
He
was a 3-time BAFTA nominated actor, and he's like, I got questions for you, and I was like,
Because you guys are interesting. I mean, you're way more interesting than your guests.
Oh no, although that will never be true. And I want to thank you for coming on today. And can you please tell people where they can get your books, also find out more about you on your website, and they can follow you on social media?
Thank you. So yeah, Nancy Matsumoto, my website, it's very easy. It's all my name. NancyMatsumoto.com, and it's NancyMatsumoto. You guys look like you're and it's the same on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm Nancy Matsumoto, writer and editor.
I like it. I like it so much. And thank you for spelling out your name.
I know it's long. I feel like it takes too long to spell the whole thing.
I want you to remember to please follow you guys. Y'all to remember to please follow the Saki blogs.
Yes. Oh my goodness, it's so interesting.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's great to hear. Yeah, it's right on my website. It's very easy to find if you just go to my NancyMatsumoto.com.
It is so interesting.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, and I will wrap us up. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. While you're there, look at all the tabs. But more important.
Can I say something before you go to the ladies tab? I want you to remind everyone to please go to the home tab, the home page, and then click on that little blue circle and listen to
the Ladies Tales podcast. It's our new podcast.
And listen to professional actors read my TV script. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
wow.
But more importantly than all of that stuff we have just said, if you could just go to the ladies tab and go to the middle and see the charities that we probably support. Yes, we know that it's 2020 and people are tightening their belts financially. We can understand this. So if you do not have money to donate to them, that is okay. We understand. Maybe you have different things you can donate to them.
Skill set
or time. Mm-hmm. And then if you can't do that, that's okay also. Maybe you should just drop them a line, a nice note that says, thank you for doing the good in the world, or just social media at them and say, thank you for doing this good work in the world, because we can all use some encouragement to continue. So we thank you in advance for that. But really, not more importantly, but remember that wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona.
Oh, and Jade. Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening.